But talk a little bit about, it's a lot of pressure because people expect you, to perform like a circus pony. And then, and you do the best you can. And we were talking, when you do this work professionally, you want to make sure you're 85 to 90% accurate. That doesn't mean it's not a perfect science or anything like that. But there are people that probably, we talked about this before on the thing, but probably that want to be healed, and it's got to be hard if you get a message they're not meant to be healed. I mean, how do you handle
say? I mean, that's a great thing, because my mother asked me. She said, I actually turned around and said to my mother, no, I can't work on you. And I can't go into personal details why I refused to work on her, but that's how committed I am to what I do. It's like, and I learned that from my mother, because my mother was my teacher. When I was a child, my mother would give the same attention to another child as she would to me. And I used to find that objectionable. But I'm your son. Why are you showing the same love for this child as you am for me? So that had unfolded when my mum said to me one day, can you work on me? And I went, no, I've been told not to. That's my mum, So this is how professional I take, so everyone gets the same treatment, I think is where I'm coming from. So, and we have to be this way. Right. I love what you said about the 85, 90%, because I often see things are wrong with people 2 or 3 years before an MRI scan will pick it up.
No, I hear you.
And, when you often say to people, well, this is what's wrong with you, and they say with glee, well, no, you're wrong, actually. That used to knock me for a 6. So I thought, you have to counteract that, Raymond.
You know what? Me too, but you know what? People watching that are psychics or mediums or healers or intuitives, and people go, no, 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 no. I'm at the point, I'm grounded in the grace of God, because I know that I don't argue. I go, well, see if that helps, because I know later on I get the email. I don't have to be right, and especially sometimes I don't even want to talk about stuff, but if it's put in me. But if I get the emails later and they'll say, oh, we found this, or this happened, and oh my God, it went through. A lot of times I don't remember what they're telling me. It happened. I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's good. So it's a higher level. We were kidding, but we're not kidding. Our boss is God.
Yes.
And that's a high ethics. And so because of that, God sees us all equal, no matter how old, how young, how rich, how poor, what your skin color is, if you look good, don't look good, none of that. It doesn't matter. Everybody in that state of service, you are in I think, like a holy state.
I feel that. I go into, probably like you, I go into a light altered state. I can hear you, and I can even respond to you, but I know that I'm working. I know that I'm in, that is like an affirmation that tells me, a bit like the person who asked me, do they have cancer? And I said, turn around. And so they got their back to me, and I've watched his finger come and it touched them below the shoulder blade. And I said, it's here. And the person turned around, and I said the size, it was about 1 millimeter in size. And the person turned around and said, no, for your information, it's not 1 millimeter in size, it's 1.2 millimeters. And where your finger was where the consultant left some of the cancer in me. And so it was this very person who got me to work on a chemo-unit. And because of the seeing. That was the whole reason I got onto the chemo-unit, because I was able to see. So, to work in a hospital environment, people said to me, I remember I think it was my sister or my mum, they said, if you get something wrong on that chemo unit, they are going to roast you alive.
It's true. You're surrounded by doctors, and I work with, no offense to any, I've got a lot of doctors that watch. I respect and like you. But in my ad agency, I have doctors and medical practice. Some of them were clients, and a lot of them are very arrogant, and you don't get things wrong because they're in a business. You can't make mistakes, and mistakes can mean a life. So for you to be in the profession as not only a medical and intuitive and also a healer and working in the chemo unit and be respected by the doctors and the nurses, that is, I don't know if people get that. It's not like, oh, I'm a medical intuitive, you know, and they kind of like, oh yeah, over there, whatever. I mean, for you to be doing this at a hospital at this level, you're good. You're really
blew
good.
me away. And you know what, Tamara? To give credit to what you just said, even though it's already there, but just to put the icing on the cake, I was sitting on the chemo unit, sitting next to a lady who was having a chemo, and one of the receptionists appeared in the doorway, and she beckoned me over, and I said, "Yeah, what's up?" She said, "There's a lady upstairs who has thrown herself on the floor. She's hysterical, Ray. We can't give her treatment while she's in this frame of mind, but we told her about you, you know." And her husband said, and she has said that they would like you to sit with her. So we'll go and get her, and we'll give you a shout when she's ready. So I've sat back down, waited. I got beckoned out, and for some reason that corridor in that chemo unit turned into be 10 times as long as it normally was. And I turned the corner, and there is I thought this woman looked like a chicken that had been left in the oven. It just, everything had gone in, and holding onto the handles of the wheelchair.
There was nothing much left of her?
There was hardly anything left. She didn't have long to live. Her husband had hold of the handles, and as I walked towards them, and everyone was looking at me in the reception area, so the pressure was on. And as I walked towards her, I was waiting for the download of how do I approach this, like, you know. So I was told, I went down to eye level. I'm looking at her, and I've said, "I've been told you have to come with me." And I looked up at the husband. I said, "Do you want to come?" And he went, "No." So I wheeled her off to this little quiet room. And bearing in mind the whole reason why she was sent to me was because she was hysterical and they couldn't administer her chemo. She fell asleep after a 10-minute conversation. She said to me, "You don't honestly think that," she said, "I can see you're nervous, Raymond." She said, "But do you honestly think that they would allow you to work on this chemo unit and be alone with me in a room if they didn't have faith?" And then she fell asleep.
Yes.
And at that point, one of the ward sisters came in with a little trolley, and she banged the trolley against the wall, and it woke up my friend. And my friend looked up at the nurse. On the trolley was her medication that they were going to give her that they couldn't give her. The patient said, "I'm sorry, but I fell asleep. It must have been the morphine that you gave me." And her head was down, but I looked up at the nurse, and the nurse looked back down at me. She went,
No morphine.
"Yeah."
No morphine.
So
You were wait. You were the morphine.
I think I was. I think I was.
I know. You were the morphine. You had, not only did you calm her down and talk to her, but you did the you know, the whole, like the little God thing where it comes through your head and goes whoop right out.
Yes.
You gave her some of that God light, and she just calmed down. You were the morphine.
She was, and again, to back that up, something stunned me is on another occasion there, another one of the patients who was in a really bad way said, "Every time I sit next to you, Ray, the pain stops."
Yeah, you're the morphine to people. Yeah.
But that affects me, you know, and you know, getting back to what you and I were talking about, it's about, well, how does it? It's not, "Oh, this is wonderful, I feel special." It's huge. We have to go home and comprehend that. I have to process that. I have to sit here alone and go, "You stopped her pain. How did you do that?" And the only way that I can process that is to go, "I can't think about it," because to me it's like staring at the universe. It's don't even question it, Ray. Do what you have to do. Do what you're allowed to do here.
Well, absolutely. And I think that in that moment of service, I mean, I like to compare the gifts to like the early apostles, right? You know, when Jesus said you can do everything, he was resurrecting people right and left. Those same things are available to us now. if that's so be, if thy will be done. But miracles, we call it miracles, but they were basically doing these kind of things where the same similar type of thing, but they were having, you can call it what you want, Holy Spirit, power of God, whatever it is, being a vessel and letting it just roll right through. But remember the Bible story that there were two guys in there and they were like, oh, we can do this stuff. Oh, we can totally deliver demons and stuff. And they're like, okay. And they got all crazy because they got demon possessed. But the ones that just said, that will be done, I'll be of service. And you just get in that light trance state and say, I'm here to serve out of love. You don't know. And it comes through in your form with these people as being the healer, the morphine, whatever they need at that moment is given.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't you agree? And I think when we're of service like that, whether I always say a message, like if you were to tell someone a message in that state, or me or anyone else, right? And even people that aren't professional, psychic mediums or healers or this type of thing, people still get information when you're when you're concerned for someone, they still do. When we're in that state, the intention is just to give freely and to love and to help. And it comes through, but the message that you say is not just the words and not just the energy, but with that, sometimes words can heal. And yes. I mean, heal. I mean, not like, oh, they're healing. No, like physically something happens, a phenomena. So, because we're vocalizing the God power in us. Don't you agree?
Oh, massively. I mean, my sister had in relation to what you said, my sister had a back operation. They removed a piece of one of her discs. She was in massive pain, immense pain.
Wow. And
I remember getting a phone call from my mum. She said, can you come over? Maria's in an awful lot of pain. So, it was about an hour or so away. So I jumped on my motorcycle, came to North London. Just as I was about to hit the doorbell of the house, the door opened and a friend of my sister's came out and she looked visibly upset. She went, thank God you're here, Ray. She said, Maria's in such a bad way. And I thought, oh, pressure. So I came into the house, quick hi to Mum. Maria was upstairs in her bedroom, screaming in pain. And
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That's awful.
Yeah, it was awful, especially to hear my sister being like that was like, wow. I opened the bedroom door. After knocking the door, went in and said hello to her, and she was sobbing. And I got the download, and I was told just to put my 2 fingers at the base of her spine. And within seconds, Maria had gone from screaming in pain to laughing. And
that's beautiful.
I didn't know what else. I just turned around. I went downstairs, and Mum went, "Is everything all right?" I went, "Yeah." She's laughing, Mum. And to me, I had to close that book. I couldn't think about it anymore. It was like my intent was to come here to help. I've done what I've got to do, and now I'm just back to Raymond O'Brien again. It's wait for the next.
Well, the thing is, you do what's done and it's finished, and it's to me, it's something higher working on us. But I do think we agree to this. But I think people don't understand that it is also physically tiring on your body when you do things. There was a lady that I went to do a reading one time, and she was a French lady, and I went to her house and I saw her, and I was told I should go there, and I never go to people's homes, I just do it, and I do most of it over Zoom. And I was told, I was like, okay. And then I was told, plan to spend the day there. And I'm like, this is very unusual, go to a stranger's house, spend the day. So I go there, and she opens the door, and she was really, her soul was really beautiful, but you could tell she had like advanced cancer. She, had no hair, and not only was and I just, what did I do? My intent was to serve, right? Okay. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, I don't know if she needs a reading now. I mean, what do I do? I'm just serve. And all her relatives came through, shared a lot of love, her husband's relatives. It was like a party. And then I said, it's here, and went like, I started moving my hands. Sometimes the angels come around, move my hands, and I was like, here. She goes, yeah, I said, this is here. But it started here. And she's like, yeah. And so I don't know what they made me do. I'm not trained in this area like you are. I'm trained with evidential mediumship, but I certified by, we're both certified by God. So I figure, okay. And I did, they wanted me to do something with her energy field. It was kind of wonky. I don't know what that was. But Jesus told her, he said, I will heal you now. If you want, I will wash you clear and clean. And I said, would you, he told me that. And I think that's why he sent me. He said, I said, do you have a bathtub or a pool nearby? Oh God, this is the world we live in. And she's like, and I said, but only you can receive this. I mean, and I can assist, but you know, if you want this, I don't know if you want this. And people would say, well, why wouldn't you want that? You know, it's not our journey to be able to decide. She declined on that. I didn't judge her. Maybe she was tired of fighting. I couldn't, it's not my path. I couldn't answer for that. I just did what I was told to and left. I thought it was unusual. And I try not to really remember a lot of my sessions because it's their session and not mine. And I have to be a person and I have to cleanse that, meaning everyone's energy off and kind of start fresh. But I don't think people realize the responsibility that affected me. That's why I don't think I could do what you do. I would do it if God asked me, or Jesus showed. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do whatever he tells me. That's fine. But to do what you do is hard because sometimes you see people and, you know, they're going, I mean, we are all going to pass. Of course, we don't really die, but you're going to see that with some people. And how do you deal with that? Because people don't realize you're still human. You still care about people. It's got to be a little bit of a burden.
I think I can start that answer is, I was at the family kitchen table. My mother said to me, why do you think you're back here?
Yeah.
And I went, don't know, Mum. She said, I think she was a bit shocked that I didn't know. So she filled me in. She said, you're back here to help people. Yes. And I was disappointed because why? Because before the death, I wasn't working on people. I was working on animals, and I was up to a level of I was up to a level where I was starting to work with racehorses, and I was spotting things which was verified by X-rays. So I was very good at that. And then obviously, so I wanted to keep away from people. But yes. When I came back, Mum says, why do you think you're here? You're back here to help people. I thought, well, okay, I'll settle for that. And I felt disappointed, but I can honestly say, hand on heart now, that is why I'm back here. So when it comes to the burden side of it, it doesn't burden me. It tires me in the same way that it would as if I went to work. Like, you know, so if I went back to my other job, I would feel tired. So within that way, but it doesn't deplete me or anything like that. It makes me tired, but it tells me about self-care. You know, I do this. The secret for me to doing all of what I do is two things. It's sensitivity and listening, and the two go hand in hand. Because this brain, the real-time Ray, and the same for many other people, the only way that I believe what Raymond O'Brien does is that I've had to engineer the disbelief out of myself. Hence, emails to myself, what I'd seen. You know, there's been a lot of people who I've worked on where I hadn't emailed myself, but I'd already seen what was wrong with them. Yeah. So now I'm getting back to the hospitals. I knew that the only way that I would be accepted by what I was doing, the acceptance hadn't had to come from the staff, it had to come from the patients. And what had happened is that there was a little chapel just outside of the chemo-unit, and the vicar said to me, she said, "Would you like to use the chapel as your healing room?" And I thought, oh, dearie me. So what had happened is that because the word had already spread around the hospital, you want to go see this bloke, if you sit next to him, the pain stops, or if he touches you, the pain stops. So I started to get people from all different walks of religion, and the doctors had started to notice this. And and then obviously, you know, with the woman who they couldn't work with, who got sent to me, that was like the great big tick. It was like, this bloke, however he does it, we don't know how he does it, but he doesn't have to argue his case. The people who speak for him will be the patients, and that was.
Well, that's your, well, in this world we have to have evidence, but I think that working with these spiritual gifts at the high level, like we both do international, we show to the public, like this isn't like a one-on-one reading, you screw up, nobody see. I mean, we're both out there.
We
and
are
like,
very much.
We're on the slab. You know, we can be, you know, we can hang ourselves pretty easily.
Yeah, that's right.
And so to be out there like that, I mean, number one, it takes courage. So for all those people jealous, it takes a lot of serious balls to be able to do that. Yes, I just said that. Cojones, whatever. It does. It takes a lot of guts. And to get training and the dedication and the and I told God, okay, we're going to do this all the way. And so I put myself at the training. Much, you know, you push yourself, you know, than you normally would without the training. And then also people that how do I say it? It's like the people that are jealous. I find a lot of times I feel sorry for them because they're lazy. They're not willing. I'm always reading about them.
So true.
I never look. My problem is I got to take off for me because I care so much about the world that even at night I'm out there trying to, like, you know, heal people, talk to them, whatever needs to happen. It's quite compulsive. It doesn't really stop, and I have to remember to have fun. But people don't realize it's like who you are, and there will be a lot of people that will be takers, and very few people will be your friend. That's why it's always great when you meet another seer, because I don't really want anything from you.
Yeah, yes.
I already got this going on. I don't really need anything.
Yes, yeah.
It's an equal thing. Like, you know, I'm cool. Like, I'm all good. You know, I don't really want anything. But so many people will even now sneak to be your friend just so they can get information. And it's very sad. And this work can be really tiring, really, really emotionally tiring. And I'm sure with you, like if you're on duty and you're helping people and you're using your gifts, and some days it may be several days in a row, you need to take off some time afterwards, because it's very it's also hard on our bodies. I mean, we don't, you know what I mean, we just get tired. There's a time because we're in these physical forms, and we do get tired. And I don't think people realize this side of it. It's not sexy.
You know what?
It's not.
It's so refreshing to hear what you just said. Yet one, it isn't sexy. You know, there's nothing sexy about having the experiences that I've had in you know, on the run up to death, on the other side, and you know, and the other things that I'd seen, the bad side of it. You know, I lost all of my family. You know, I didn't even know who my family was, and you know, within an hour, my 47 years on the planet was the age when I croaked. 47 or 49, I can't quite remember. One of the two, 47, I think. Everything was changed within the blink of an eye, like a glove being turned inside out. It's like, you know, I didn't even recognize my family when they came to the hospital. Your family's here, Ray. And I thought, what does that mean?
Now, wait a minute. When you passed, you had to remember who your family was?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know, my sister knows this, but I lived a life. I went into self-isolation for 5 years, and didn't speak to my family because to me, they weren't my family. And my sister knows this. I've had a heart-to-heart with my sister and said, Maria, I lied. I don't know who you are. You know.
Oh dear, I didn't realize all that. So you had amnesia. You just didn't know.
I didn't know.
Did they
And this
help you with that and say, here's some pictures, this is what we did, this is who I am? But you know, you might need a little help. I mean, people that have had these things, they have to have that, like I was saying, Michael, his wife, he would repeat things, and finally she started recording it and then playing it back to him.
Yeah. No.
But that's what people do. They show pictures. We are brother, sister. We are blah blah blah. And if not, you don't know if you don't get help.
See, my family didn't know that had happened. This is the gap of care. They didn't know. They didn't know that that's what happens to somebody who has a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I have a saying, you know, if you don't tell people what's happening, they will fill the gaps in. And normally when they fill the gaps in, you're getting their interjections of the way they feel, their external frame of reference to how you feel.
You're a real jerk. You know, you were mean to me most of my life. I was. It's horrible. I think you owe it to me now and be really, really, really nice and like put me in your will. You know what I mean?
That could happen. That could have happened to me within the first. I remember coming home, and in my previous occupation, people will give you the keys to their house and they say, "See you tonight, Ray," or "Just lock up when you're done," like, you know. And it was that trust. So you didn't snoop around the house. You did what you had to do. So when after 4 days, when I got regurgitated out of the hospital and came home, I live on my own, just me and Bill. I'm now in a house that I don't know is mine. So I think that I'm in a job house in somebody's house. So this went on for about 5 or 6 weeks. I'm wandering around this house with this total confusion. And there's a motorcycle parked outside. There's my business van, which is sign written. And I'm wandering around the house. And as I said, it's okay to have a cup of tea, because in my mind, I'm in a job house, and the client would say, use the kettle, Ray, like, you know, or make yourself something to eat. Yeah. So that was how I was basing it. And then one day, there's a box that I kept walking by, and it kept talking to me. "Open me up, Ray," it kept saying. "Open the box." And I'm like, "No, I can't. I'm in someone's house. I can't do this. It's not acceptable. It's not ethical." Right, you know. Eventually, I cracked. I thought, I don't know what to do, but I've got to look in the box. I opened the box up, and it was full of photographs. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table thinking I'm in someone else's house, and I'm going through these pictures. And I distinctly remember saying to myself, "Wow, this bloke's been around the world. Look at this," you know. And I hadn't realised the photographs were me.
Wow.
So I decided in my madness that there's a motorcycle out there. I don't know what it is, but I've been told that I can ride one. So I've gone around the house. I've put all the motorcycle gear on. I've got the keys. I've gone out and I've started it up. It's a big bike. I'm sitting outside on the road, and it's warming up. And I'm looking at the controls, the clutch, the brake, the throttle. And I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to ride this, but I'm going to give it a go. I got down to the bottom of the road, and I had to abandon it because I couldn't work out.
My goodness. These are the things that you went through.
Some of them, yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot more than that.
Wow. And so when because you've had multiple near-death experiences, all, you know, relating. So was this all back 12 years ago, or did some of this kind of trail and follow you? How long did it take the memory to come out?
The memory, there's still a lot missing. I get confused. When I flew to the States 2 years ago, I remember being in the airport, and I didn't know what flight. And I remember asking one of at the information desk, they said, "Where are you going?" And I went, "I don't know." And the person laughed at me. They went, "You don't know where you're going?" And it infuriated me. I kind of went off like a rocket. And so I tried to explain the reason why I don't know.
Right.
So what had happened is I'd had the 10 near deaths, I had the cardiac arrests, that group of 10, and then back in just on the run up of 2019, before I was to go to Philly for the IANS talk.
Wow.
I'd had a Christmas time, 2018-19. I'd had, I think, about 6 heart attacks over a period of about a week or so. And eventually I couldn't take the pain anymore. It was like being branded. So I drove myself to the hospital and walked into A&E and said, I've got chest pains. And they kept me in and did blood tests, said, yeah, you've had a couple of big heart attacks. We can see that. And, so that was April, was when I finally walked into after Christmas was bad, heart attacks at Christmas 2018-19. March, walked in with chest pains. Then they sent me for an MRI scan, and that's when the heart stopped again inside the MRI machine. So that brings me up to 12. But the heart restarted, and that I've read about some cardiac arrest person, the heart will restart on its own. And that,
Wow.
the MRI machine, I think, if anything, out of all of the things that happened to me with the heart problems, with the pain and the fear and the wonderment, it was the MRI machine that nearly finished me off. That was almost.
Why? Is it the solution they put in you?
No, it was the way that the way that I passed. When I suffocate to death, I start thrashing around.
You're telling me that.
Yeah, and I thrashed around inside the MRI machine until I suffocated to death, basically. And then they got me out of the machine, injected me with something, and the heart restarted. And I couldn't. I went to see a counsellor and about the problem, but the counsellor wasn't honest. The counsellor had their own reasons why they wanted to see me. It was to do with their own personal life, and I won't go into it because they'll recognise themselves. But basically, the counsellor was a good counsellor, but not in the area that I was in.
Right.
So, they're still out there. My peers are still practicing with people like me and my traumas. They have no comprehension of the damage that they do to us through their ignorance, their, being honest. I don't know what to do. I've never dealt with anyone like this before. But what I've realised is that many have mortgages, bills to pay, and this is what drove me into the profession that I've been trained to do. I did a little bit of work at the Royal London Hospital. Had a chap come up and see me who he said hello, but I just didn't recognise him. And he turned out to be the guy. Do you remember earlier in the story where I said there was a guy in the audience who said, you should be studying this?
Yes.
Well, it was him. I couldn't remember his name, and he obviously could see that I didn't remember. He went, Ray, it's me, Gino, the guy who started you off. And as it turned out, he has had his own cardiac arrest. Heard that I was giving a talk at the Royal Whitechapel Hospital, the teaching hospital, and he said, no, I just had to come along. So it's even people, even my peers who are working within the heart departments are struggling to get help themselves. So
well, they're human too.
Of course, yeah, but we expect them to carry on regardless, as we do maybe. Soldiers, we expect them to do their duty and not come back and go, I'm fine. But, they're not. And this is where I want to be. These are the people who I feel I'm back here to help. And, to be doing this podcast with you, it's just great. Thank you for asking.
Oh, it's so my honor. And I so appreciate you, your message, your time. And I know that you're going to also come back. We're going to talk about more of the spiritual, not that all this is spiritual, but more of the spiritual gifts, the after effects, because it definitely enhanced my NDEs. Did enhance it. I was already born this way, but it did greatly enhance it, and the ethics behind it, and the responsibility, and the pros and cons, because you're a professional medical intuitive and healer working in hospitals. I do this professionally, and we need, for people that listening that do have these gifts, we need to look at it like that. So maybe we can talk about that.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you're so great for this, and you've been so awesome. Wanted to ask you, is there any projects that you're working on right now?
There is actually, with Spiritual Awareness International in June. I do believe, if I remember rightly, I'm a member of the, and I love this name from Robert Bear, I'm a member of the Dead Man's Panel. It's just like...
Yes. What is NDEr? So you just found out pre-show that I am the moderator on the...
Yeah, I know!
What a Walking Dead panel.
Fantastic.
I said, can I wear a little patch and a little pirate on my shirt? And, dead man walking,
You so lie.
I look like Johnny Depp, and like, yeah.
Johnny Depp, love it.
I'm really good at dressing up and costumes. I love that part I have about Halloween. I get really into it. It's that theatrical side. So, of course, Robert would probably say, go for it. So, hey, me too. I actually dressed up this one year and I have a gold tooth and everything.
Really?
I got the treasure chest with fur, and I put fake gold coins in. Don't mess with my booty. And my husband was like, can you stop it? This has been going on. I talked to my bird. Yeah, what do you say? So we're going to have fun on this panel in June.
I'm going to look forward to that.
Yeah, you just want to see what kind of crazy gimmick I'm going to do here.
I'm going to ring your mom up and find out first.
I'm going to start feeding the parrot crackers. Here you go, buddy. Oh my goodness, we're having too much fun. So in June, sign up at spiritualawakeningsinternational.org. It's for free, and they also have monthly speakers. And Seeking Heaven, the Narrative Experience, and Other Phenomena is an affiliate network of SAI. So, hey, and we're doing the monthly speaker spotlight. So we didn't meet before now, and now we get to have more fun. Not only, tomorrow with the spiritual discussion on the chat, but we also get to do this panel that's coming up. So, and who knows what will come up. I'm sure we'll do a lot of other fun things even on this show. So we'll see what people have to say. I tell them all the time, write me, email me, tell me what you want to hear. And then, if enough people are interested, we'll provide the topic and the people that, to discuss, because you have a wealth of information, just sharing who you are so rawly, is that a word? Rawly. So authentically, about being gifted as a child and being different and where you are now and the challenges. It's just such a gift that you're sharing that with me and to all the people in the audience and the people watching. So thank you so much. You have been so much fun.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Great, just wonderful. Thank you all. Take good care of yourselves.
Take care. Take care, Raymond. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.